Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of Our Voice 360, our perspectives, our ways. I'm one half of the duo here, Chad Bumgarner, and I have with me my man, Pete Hunt.
What's good, family?
All right, Pete, with that, let's go ahead and get into it.
And as always, our podcast is brought to you by Elect Graphics and Photography. Allow your visions to become reality. And CDB Consulting. Great leadership equals great results. How are you leading?
And ladies and gentlemen, if there's something you want to hear on the podcast here, Pete and I discuss or debate, or if you just want to tell us how we're doing, what you like, what you don't like, anything of the sort like that, please do not hesitate to contact us at our email address at ourvoice360@gmail.com. That's ourvoice360@gmail.com. All right, folks, today is it's another week of some I think it's some great topics that we need to listen to and discuss because it does affect us, whether directly or indirectly. It's some things that we need to be aware of, what people are doing and how they're doing it. You know what I mean? So first we're going to start off with the Aubrey case. Now I can't think of my man's name. Is it? I know his last name is Aubry.
Ahmaud Arbery.
Ahmaud Arbery, excuse me,
Yeah.
forgive me. Ahmaud Arbery, his case, we're going to talk about the latest on that, what's going on there.
Right.
And the situation with the jurors and not being able to find, a jury of his peers, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to float on to the Aaron Rodgers situation in the NFL and him basically lying about being vaccinated when in fact he wasn't. And goes on to, in an interview, say that the NFL knew he wasn't vaccinated. But it's amazing how he's able to, get away with that while other NFL players and players in other leagues like the NBA are really penalized for not taking the vaccine or not wanting to take the vaccine. And like you and I both discussed in previous podcasts, to do or not to do, we respect either side. It's your choice, but educate yourself. Educate yourself. So those are the two big topics that we're going to be discussing today. And I think it's going to be very interesting on what we bring about and what you hear today, because I do feel that for the Black and brown community, these are topics that need to be heard and need to be discussed. And we need to try to understand or figure out why things are going the way they're going.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? So you can you can prepare and educate yourself accordingly. We do not by any means declare to be experts in any field. This is Pete and I discussing our views and opinions and thoughts on the topics that are relevant to our communities. So with that, let's dive right in, Pete.
Let's get into it.
The Ahmaud Arbery case, right? Very sad situation. If I recall correctly, this was back in 2020 when Ahmad was jogging through this neighborhood in Savannah, Georgia, when he was approached by 2 or 3 men who, I guess for some reason or another, thought that he was in a place where he didn't belong. And so a scuffle broke out, and one of those men, if I recall correctly, had a firearm on him, or not. I can't remember. But I know the third person was on the truck who did the fatal shot.
Yeah, it was a situation where he was jogging through a neighborhood, and like you said, Chad, it was basically they hunted him. It was a hunt. It was like they were hunting deer.
Right.
So they drove and hunted him down basically, and forget, this is not a killing. This is a lynching. This is a modern day lynching. This is what this is for these 3 gentlemen to chase this young black man down to kill him. That's what their objective was to kill him, and they succeeded. And now we're in the trial phase of this story. And I would want the people who that watch and listen to us to understand that this is not a trial on Ahmaud Arbery. This is a trial of his murderers, of the people who lynched him. So we have to be extremely careful how we talk about this trial, because if you listen to the media, it's basically they're saying this is the trial of Ahmaud Arbery. No. This is not the trial of Ahmaud Arbery. Words have meanings.
They do. You have to watch
a
good friend of mine used to always say, you really need to pay attention to the language that's being used. The language is very important. And that's what people remember, whether it's an interview, whether it's on the news, whether it's a case like this. Right. The language that the lawyers and the reporters and anybody involved, the language that they use is very important. Now, to be clear, the three men that were charged, two of them were a father-son combination, and another one was a friend. Their names were Greg Michael. He was 65. His son, Travis Michaels, which is 35. And then a local resident, William Roddy Bryan, which was 52. So the three men cornered Aubry, claiming that he was a burglar. And Travis, the son of Greg, confronted the jogger and shooting him dead with a shotgun. So the son is the one, it seems like, that killed him. Very sad and unfortunate, but you're right. This is not a case of Ahmaud Arbery. This is a case of the three men who claim self-defense.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, it's so hard for people to understand who are not Black how things of this ilk affect us. Even though we're not personally related or friends of or acquaintance of the Aubry family, we feel where they're coming from.
Oh yeah.
We've seen this happen time and time again to our people. And it's just it's sad and it's hurtful and it tears at Black folks' heart. Not saying it doesn't tear at anybody else's heart, but our hearts especially, because we know when we walk out of our doors, that could happen to us.
Right. I was about to say it could, because we feel it because it happens to a lot of us a lot of the times.
Right. It's just sad, and I pray for that family that has to go through this trial, and for the family members and friends, and that's going to have to sit there and endure the reliving of this lynching, of this modern day lynching.
Yeah, and let's add to that real quick before we get to the present day issues of the trial. When this thing first kicked off back in September, the Georgia prosecutor was indicted on misconduct charges, alleging she used her position to shield the men, basically really meaning the Michaels, shielded the men who chased and killed Ahmaud Arbery from being charged with crimes immediately after the shootings. That's why they was able to go home after the whole thing went down. The DA, the Georgia prosecutor, Johnson is her name, Jackie Johnson, allowed them to do such a thing because they all knew each other. It was a small town, and like you and I were talking off air, everybody involved on the police side, for lack of a better terms, was all connected or related some kind of way.
Right.
A grand jury in coastal Glenn County, which is where this happened, indicted the former Brunswick Judicial District Attorney Jackie Johnson, the lady I was just talking about, on a felony count of violating her oath of office and hindering a law enforcement officer, a misdemeanor. So basically, she really wasn't fired. She was allowed to step down because of her felony and her ability or lack of ability to keep her oath of office. I mean, Greg Michaels, who was charged in murder, the father of Travis, he had worked as an investigator in Johnson's office and retired back in 2019. That's how he knew Johnson. Evidence was introduced in pretrial hearings in the murder case showing Johnson's phone call or cell phone, and Greg left her a message saying, "Hey Jackie, this is Greg. Um, could you call me as soon as you possibly can? My son and I was involved in a shooting, and I need some advice right away." And that's a recording that was, put into evidence. And so the indictment says Johnson was interfering with police at the scene, and it shows favor and affection towards Greg Michael in the investigation and interfered with police officers at the scene by directing Travis Michael should not be placed under arrest. And that's how they was able to go home.
How many times has this happened? This is how the system works.
Mm-hmm.
This is how it works against our people. I mean, when things happen to black folk will go out of their way to hinder or misrepresent what really happened.
Mm-hmm.
It's been countless times where police departments have been caught shooting unarmed black people and trying to cover it up. Or police pull somebody over and plant drugs in their car, knowing that 9 times out of 10 they're going to get away with it.
Well, the interesting thing about that, the double-sided sword to the videos that the cops present on the body cams is it's not enough evidence when the cop is in the wrong. Mm-hmm. It's funny how this works, because when you use the body cam of the police, it's not enough evidence when it's not in favor of the police, when it's in favor of the victim, because it's like, well, we don't know what led up to that. We don't know what happened after that. But when it favors the police officer, then the video is golden. Then the video is, this is all we need. It clearly shows you right here, folks. It's right here on video. Right. So even with the video, it's an uphill battle for the victim, because it just depends how it's spun, with the police and the press sometimes.
And honestly, it doesn't have to have any spin. It can be right there in your face. I mean, case in point, we can take it back to Rodney King.
Right.
Case in point.
We don't know what led up to that. To that beating.
Yeah, exactly.
There's nothing in the world that man could have done to deserve, well, almost nothing. He still didn't deserve it, period.
No.
Because he was just pulled over for some BS, and it took a half a dozen to close to a dozen cops, really, to beat him like that.
But that's how it works. That's how it goes. Because at the end of the day, 9 times out of 10, they're going to be acquitted, or they're going to cover it up and nobody gets in trouble, unless you're a cop in Minnesota who shoots a white woman and you go to jail for. Yeah, but anyway, that's another story for another day. It just depends on what you look like as the police, I should say. But back to Ahmaud Arbery, it just shows that the connection between how people will cover up, or again, the lengths they'll go to misguide the community about a black man, woman, and child getting killed. So I mean, it's hand in hand that, if an innocent black man, woman, or child gets killed, it's going to be some type of controversy. We're not going to get the full story until somebody else has to step in that's outside of that police force or that county or that, you see what I'm saying, or that judicial system. The feds have to come in and this, that, and the third. So I mean, it just shows you the interwovenness of corruption in this system when it comes to black folk.
And let's be clear, with the Aubry case, if these 3 men are convicted, they are facing life in prison. Now the defense attorney claims that the men I can't even say this with a straight face. The men being charged acted in self-defense, noting that Aubry struggled over the shotgun when confronted by Travis Michaels. Well, I don't know of anybody who wouldn't struggle with a shotgun if you coming at me trying to kill me. How is that? How is that self-defense? You coming at me, and you claiming self-defense?
You hunted me down,
right? And you're claiming self-defense.
How about you just leave me alone and let me go home? I'm not bothering you.
Now check this out, Pete. Check this out. They're relying on Georgia's citizens arrest statute. You remember this, right? Which was in place at the time, but has since been retracted due to the outcry of Aubry's death. Now, just a little background on the citizens arrest. Okay, the citizens arrest law in Georgia. Georgia's House of Reps, this was earlier this year, back in March, the House of Representatives had unanimously passed a bill that would roll back the citizens arrest law in the state. And it was called the HB 479. The passage of the bill came just over a year after Aubry was shot and killed in Brunswick, Georgia, while jogging. The state's Civil War era citizens arrest law was originally enacted to enable Georgians to capture fugitive slaves. This law has nothing to do with the here and now.
Hold on.
No. Okay, let me finish.
Okay.
It was enacted during the Civil War for Georgians to capture quote unquote fugitive slaves.
Okay.
Legally. We're not slaves.
Okay.
But it depends in through the lens of which you see this law. Because as you see, they didn't look at it like that.
No, because
they looked at him.
I mean, there you go.
Yeah.
There
it
is.
You at, Pete? I know where you at.
Yeah. So I mean, if the law, I mean, they are actually trying to claim a law in their defense that says that white folk can go and hunt down black folk and arrest them and or kill them.
Citizens arrest.
Okay. What was this then? What was this? This was to further let you know, this was a modern day lynching because they are trying to use a law in their defense.
So basically they're saying Ahmad was a slave and they had to do their due diligence. Go ahead and put it out there, Pete.
Yeah, they had to do their due diligence because this is a slave right here.
Yeah.
That's in our part of town. And we don't know. Okay.
Yeah. Wow. So now when the case started, like I told you, the DA had to recuse herself because they found out that she was trying to protect, you know, those guys. And then, excuse me, I'm sorry. 2 more DAs were appointed. And they had to be recused from the case because Greg Michael is a former cop and investigator for the 2 of the local district attorneys that were appointed, one of them being George Barnhill. He stepped down after Aubry's family learned his son worked for Johnson, the original DA, as an assistant prosecutor.
Yeah, I mean, it's just
so, like I was saying earlier, that town, and like and not to pick on this town, but there are a lot of small towns where you have a lot of family members that are intertwined in the local government and police department, and that's dangerous.
Yeah,
that's very dangerous,
especially when you have a situation like this. It's extremely dangerous because, as you see, the cover-up was not long after the murder happened. That's true. Cover-up began.
Right. Day one.
Yeah, because everybody was cool with each other. Everybody was homies and family members and all this other stuff. So okay, we're going to bend over backwards to cover this up.
Yep.
Yep.
So excuse me. So now we're gonna fast forward with this case or the situation to now, where they just finished up with the jury selection, and I think it took them about 2.5 weeks to finally get a jury. And even with that being said and done, it's still an issue because it's consisting of 1 black member and 11 white members. The jury is selected again over a 2.5 week process that ended with prosecutors for the state accusing the defense attorneys of disproportionately striking qualified black jurors and basing some of their strikes on race. Now, you've got a jury that are it's 11 white people and 1 black person. Yeah, right. The county is 25% black. Even the Judge Timothy Walmsley, said the defense appeared to be discriminatory in selecting a jury, but that the case could go forward. And you and I talked about that too, off air. He said this court has found that there appears to be intentional discrimination. Intentional discrimination. Now, there was a CNN analyst that stated that a jury needs to be representative of only race and gender, not socioeconomic background. There usually tends to be a diversity of economic backgrounds among those who are summoned. I'm not sure if I agree with that. Not sure if I agree with that, because I guess I need to better understand when they say you should be judged against the jury of your peers. What does peers mean? Because peers means a lot of things to a lot of people. To me, I'm thinking just that. Maybe I'm thinking too narrowly or too strictly about it. But your peers, the people, your peers, if I'm on trial for my life or for whatever, I'm expecting to see my peers, people of my age range, people that look like me, people that live in the neighborhood that I live in or similar. That would be people of my peer. Maybe peers meant, like she said, economic. People who make the money I make in my salary bracket. I don't know how they define people of your peers, because to me this does not look like, and a lot of juries in the past, when it comes to situations like this, do not look like the jury of the peers.
I'm gonna be quite honest with you, Chad. When it comes to black folk, we don't have a jury of peers,
right?
At all. Whether if we're on trial or we've been killed and our killers are on trial, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And for the gall of this judge in this case to actually admit of bias by the defense in selecting the jury, and to still say,
let's move on,
let's keep going, let's keep the party going, let's keep it going. I'm not gonna review this or stop the trial or do anything of that sort. Let's just keep the trial going. And he admitted to the defense using tactics to strike black folk from the trial, but keep the trial going. If that doesn't tell you what's getting ready to happen, nothing will.
But to be fair, in one aspect of why there are not so many blacks on the case on the jury, and I'm just saying to be fair is because I want to present all communications that were put into place so that people will have a full breadth of what was being said about the jury. There was one person that mentioned that one reason why, or could be why, one reason why you don't have as many blacks is because a lot of the black folks that were interviewed for the jury pretty much put themselves out of the running by saying, and I'm paraphrasing here, folks, but basically saying, I can't unsee what I saw on the news. They killed that man.
Mm-hmm.
And my opinion is not going to change. So you may not have a lot of black folks, but a lot of the reason why is because a lot of black folks that was interviewed told the truth. This video was shown on every news media network for a couple of weeks, if not longer. And like that one person, I can't unsee what I saw. That was a murder. They killed that man and they didn't have to. So now that begs to differ. That I beg to question the white jurors that were selected. So you mean to tell me that you saw that video and you can be non-biased and that you can go through this trial and look at all the facts? Because I know you saw the same video that your counterpart saw. So in one aspect, you have a lack of diversity because there was truth being told. And then on the other side, you potentially, and I can't call them liars because I don't know their hearts, but you potentially have 11 liars sitting up there on the thing, waiting to throw this case, waiting to just ruin this case. Like I said, potentially, because I don't really know. They may come out and unanimously convict all three. I don't know. But my thing is, you can't say you didn't see that video. You can't tell me you didn't see it or heard about it. Because cases like this spreads like wildfire.
Oh, yeah.
In grocery stores, in barbershops, in whatever circles. Did you hear about this case? Did you see that video?
All right.
Trust. It's been communicated. And in that small town where they're at, I know it got around. So that's one issue why you don't have a lot of black people on the jury. But I don't know the rules and regulations of selecting a jury. Does it have to be from that area? Can they pull people from other states, other cities, other countries, or does it have to be? I don't know. I'm like I said, I'm not an expert, but I do know that you have a lot of black people who are not in that jury box because they basically told the truth. They can't unsee something that they saw over and over again. I can't brush that out of my mind and just look at what y'all give me. That man was killed. It's on video. Point blank, period.
But again, it just really boils down to the defense in this trial basically trying to get every, as we look at it now, every positive outcome for their clients. And it starts with the jury. It starts with the jury. And then if you have a judge who is cool with,
how things are going, even though he knows it's not right,
even though he admits it's not right, and he's cool with it. You see where we're going with this, Chad. You see the line where this is going, and
this is already going off the tracks.
Exactly, and it's already not looking positive for the Aubry family. It's not looking positive. And for a county to be 26% black, and you have one juror, and the alternates are also all white.
That I didn't know. Okay.
Yes, even all the alternates. So everybody is white except for the one black juror. This doesn't look good. This doesn't look good at all for the Aubry family to get justice. Now, like you said, those folk can come out and say at the end of this trial for these murderers, send them to jail for the rest of their lives. Find them all guilty. But as it stands right now, it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good at all. And then with one of the defense attorneys saying out loud,
I was waiting for you. Yeah, go ahead.
Saying out loud that we need more Bubbas on this jury. What?
Mm-hmm.
What does that even mean? And for that defense attorney to feel so comfortable.
I was just thinking that the arrogance, the audacity,
and so bold
to say
even
that out loud.
To say that out loud to the media.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That further lets you know how this is possibly going to go. So so because I mean, you know, and by Bubba's, you know what he means by Bubba's.
Mm-hmm.
Uneducated white men.
40 plus years old. Yeah.
That's what they want. A certain kind of uneducated white man that may have that might wear red hats and, you know, have certain flags on their trucks, or flying in their yard, or you know, got certain political figures plastered on in their yard, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, that's what they're looking for. So again, this doesn't look good for the Aubry family from the outside looking in.
Mm-hmm.
But it could be something that, you know, these people may find them guilty of this lynching. But, you know, as it stands after the jury selection, it doesn't look good.
It doesn't. I'm just praying that the Lord will step in and do what's right. I really am, because this does not look good. But I'm praying for the family, for closure,
for sure.
for peace, for justice.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I'm praying that the truth and fairness will prevail some kind of way. But all right, Pete, let's move on into the Aaron Rodgers debacle.
This guy.
So Aaron Rodgers of the Green Bay Packers has come out and stated that basically he lied. He did not take the COVID vaccine. That he's doing some kind of homeopathic concoction or way to protect himself from getting COVID.
Mm-hmm.
He blames the quote unquote woke environment for, you know, I guess trying to cancel him or whatever.
Lord have mercy.
And everybody killed me with this woke stuff. But Rodgers said he consulted with podcast host Joe Rogan and took his advice on how he treated his own COVID-19. Now, even Joe Rogan admitted to what's his name? Gupta?
Yeah, Sanjay Gupta. Mm-hmm.
That people should get vaccinated. He admitted that. I saw the video clip. Even though he did not, he admitted that people should get vaccinated. Mm-hmm. But nonetheless, Rodgers said he consulted with his buddy Joe Rogan and took his advice on how he treated his own COVID-19. He was like, I consulted with a now good friend of mine, Joe Rogan, after he got COVID, and I have a lot of stuff he recommended in his podcast and on the phone to me. I'm going to have the best immunity possible now, based on 2.5 million person study from Israel, that the people, from Israel, that the people that get COVID and recover have the most robust immunity. I'm thankful for people like Joe stepping up and using his voice. I'm thankful for my medical squad, and I'm thankful for all the love and support I've gotten. But I've been taking monoclonal antibodies, ivermectin, zinc, vitamin C, and DHCQ, and I feel pretty incredible. Now, the CDC said, and this is noted on the study he's talking about, they noted an Israeli study looked at people who had been vaccinated 6 months before or longer. See, Aaron left that out.
Of course.
Understanding infection-induced and vaccine-induced immunity over time is important, particularly for future studies to consider. So, Rodgers basically said he didn't get vaccinated because he has an allergy to an ingredient in the Moderna and Pfizer vaccines and was scared about the possible side effects from the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. He said the decision to seek alternative treatments was what was best for his body. Rodgers said the NFL knew he was unvaccinated, and he had multiple conversations with NFL doctors, including one where a doctor told him it is impossible for a vaccinated person to get COVID or spread COVID. I do remember those lies. Well, not lies, but that was what they believed at the time. They now found out that's not true. But when asked about Rodgers' claim that the NFL doctor told him it was impossible for a vaccinated person to get COVID or spread COVID, a league source tells CNN no doctor from the league or the joint NFLPA, which is the Players Association, communicated with the player.
So you still out here lying. So you still out here lying.
And like I said before, we talked about it off air, Pete, and we said it on previous podcasts, and I'm going to say it again on this podcast and for the people in the back. It's for us. It's not about whether you choose to take the vaccine or not. We both, Pete and I both respect both sides of the fence. We respect it. It's your choice.
That's right.
That's the beauty of America. It's your choice. But educate yourself and be mindful of others. If you're not going to take the shot, wear the mask. At least be considerate and mindful of others. Now, with Aaron, I have no beef with him not taking the vaccine or taking the vaccine. The fact here is his character's in jeopardy because he lied.
Yep.
He lied. And you and I talked about this on the phone the other day. You lied, sir. You have a platform. You are a public celebrity or influencer or whatever you want to call it. You lied. So every time you took the field, every time you shook hands, every time you took photos with people or interacted with people, you potentially put them in danger.
Yep.
And we know with this virus, from person to person, we don't know what it's going to do. It can put you flat on your back for several days, weeks, months.
Or it may do it. It may do nothing.
Or it may do nothing. Or you might die.
Yeah.
Within a couple of days. We don't know what it's going to do from person to person because everybody has different DNA and underlining health effects or situations that they're dealing with. So for you to be so bold and so arrogant and smoot to sit here and lie and potentially put people in jeopardy, that's potential. And I was talking to you about this too. I said, wouldn't that be potential murder? I don't know if I said it like that, but that's how I'm thinking. Because if you're carrying the disease and you're not
spread it knowingly,
and you're spreading it knowingly, right?
Knowingly,
potential murder. That's no different than back in the 80s. If I remember, there was a person that got charged for attempted murder because she knew she had AIDS, and she was going out having relations with other men, knowing she had AIDS, and was arrested and tried and convicted for attempted murder. That is a deadly weapon, just like this virus. And you, sir, Mr. Rodgers, put a bunch of people at risk. I remember listening to this one radio station, and they was asking callers what they thought. And I told you about this, Pete. This one grandmother called in. She said she thought he should be fired and fined because her grandson is an NFL player. And she put and Aaron put her grandson's health at risk when they played. And she said that's not right. And my thing is, Pete, now you correct me if I'm wrong on this, but so the NFL is not looking to find this man that I know of. But at the same time, when your boy Cam Newton was up there at New England, and my understanding is he didn't want to take the vaccine or had an issue taking the vaccine or whatever, so he got dropped.
Yeah, I'm not sure if, I'm sure his vaccination, Cam, I'm speaking of, his vaccination status played a part in him getting cut.
Getting released,
sure, getting released. But the Aaron Rodgers situation, but it is for him to be so flippant about it. If you haven't watched his interview with Pat McAfee, he is so flippant about and how he's talking and the things that he's talking about, and it's everybody else's fault, but his. It's the woke mob, and they're gonna come after me and try to cancel me. And no, fool, you lied, or at worst, at the least, misled the world. And let's get even deeper on this subject. The Green Bay Packers and the NFL knew about you being unvaccinated, and they still allowed you to walk around on the sideline with no mask, because there's several quarterbacks or several people, Kirk Cousins, Cole Beasley in Buffalo, Carson Wentz at the Colts, who've come out and said, we're not getting the vaccine. Okay, that's your point. That's cool. And that's what you want to do. But if you do that, you follow the protocols.
Right, exactly.
And to this point, from what I know, those gentlemen, and I know it's more, have been following the protocols, doing Zoom meetings with the media instead of them being in front of the media.
Right.
Or if you talk to the media, you must be masked up, have a mask on. And when you're on the sidelines, you must have a mask on if you're unvaccinated. And from what I've seen from those players, okay, they have a mask on. I watched the game last week. Carson Wentz running off the Thursday night game. Carson Wentz on the sideline had a mask on. You see him running off at halftime into the tunnel, had a mask on. Come out of halftime, he has his mask on. So it's guys who are that's not vaccinated. And again, that's their choice, that are following the protocols. Aaron Rodgers, on the other hand, again, this is his character, as we've seen over the years, that I'm the smartest person in the room, and he has no problem telling you that. I'm the smartest person in the room, and I can basically do what I want to do. Yeah. And then after all of this turmoil,
but see, to be that way, but see, Pete, to be that way, you have to have an environment that fosters that mindset.
The Green Bay Packers. You think what happened all this summer with his contract, and him saying I'm not coming back, and this, that, and the third, and they finally give him what he wants, and he comes back. Do you actually think they were going to tell Aaron Rodgers to follow protocols? No, they were scared. They were scared he was going to walk away. Walk away. If that's what you want to do. Guess what? If you don't follow the rules, you got to face the consequences.
But that only applies to certain people, though.
Exactly. So now he's also not only Green Bay, now he's put the NFL in a pickle, because they also knew and just let him walk around and shake hands and walk on the sideline with no mask and talk to the media with no mask on. So the NFL is also complicit in this. So now they're saying they're investigating Aaron Rodgers. For what? What are you going to do?
Right. What's the investigation about? We already know you weren't vaccinated. Know. What are you investigating? That's a stall tactic, because they're trying to figure out what the hell to do.
Yeah, because my thing is this: you're going to have to either fine a hefty fine on the Green Bay Packers, and then you have to do something to Aaron Rodgers, because you knew.
Well, I think, yeah, the Packers should be fined, definitely. They should be draft picks should be taken away.
Yeah.
Because see, the thing is, people are playing this thing down. This thing is serious. You could have killed somebody by spreading that virus, knowing you weren't vaccinated, because you lied. See, you didn't have to lie. Look, this what gets me, Pete. So you're going to play woe is me because you lied and was like, well, if the woke culture wouldn't cancel me, or, the NFL news, so I don't know why it's a big deal, or like you said, passing the blame, passing the buck. But then the media wants to crucify Kyrie because Kyrie was man enough to say, and just like Cole Beasley and everybody else, I'm not taking this virus. I'm not taking this vaccine. You want to nail Kyrie to the cross because he was man enough to say, I don't believe in that vaccine. That's his right.
That's his right. Yeah.
Okay, so if you don't want to do the vaccine, the NBA has protocols that you must follow. Okay, cool. I'll do that. Nobody put Beasley to the cross. Nobody put Wentz to the cross.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But for some reason, Kyrie is the poster boy.
Oh, we know.
And then Aaron and Aaron is, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going to overlook it because he's having a stellar year. He's on track to having what is it? What is it? Player of the year?
Yeah, MVP.
MVP.
Yeah.
You know, he's on track for that, and you know, nobody wants to mess up that mojo, so to speak. So I mean, it's like, as long as he's winning and as long as he's the golden boy, people are willing to overlook it. But you can't, man. This is a health crisis issue. People are dying, and you're out here lying to people. Like I said, if you didn't want to take the vaccine, just say, hey. I don't have enough information. I'm not sold on it yet, so I won't be taking it. Okay, the NFL has protocols.
I will be followed. There you go. That's all you had to do. That's all you had to do.
All you had to do. But no, you lied. That's what this is all about. People are trying to make it more about the virus, and I understand it because it is a deadly virus. But the point of the matter is you lied.
It's about your character.
Yeah, exactly. It's
about your character.
And the way you carry yourself and the way you're always talking and you're so confident and arrogant and people like that about you. I like that about him as a quarterback, being confident in who he was and how he could play and everything. But now this right here puts a big chink in his armor because this is character. This is character. And my understanding is, well, we discussed that the Packers already knew. And at first I was kind of pissed at the players, but at the end of the day, I'm kind of like Keyshawn Johnson, while he was like, you know, you got to understand these cats like, I got to feed my family. I'm the 54th man on the roster. I'm this, I'm that. My voice ain't gonna matter. As soon as I say something, I'm out of here.
I'm cut. Yeah.
You know, I'm cut. So I do get that to a certain aspect. So there's plenty of blame to be placed on everyone. Number one, starting with Aaron Rodgers. Number two, starting with the Packers organization, from the owner all the way down, because they all knew. They were just trying to cover for the golden boy. And then on top of that, the NFL. So now my thing is, the rest of the NFL, it's like, look, we're trying to follow rules. We're trying to follow protocol, do what you ask us to do to be safe, to be healthy. And now you're allowing, you know, pretty boy over here to be the exception to the rule. That's not fair
at all.
So
it's not fair at all.
Remember back in the 80s when Magic came out and said he had HIV? Remember that? That was back in 91. I'll never forget, my freshman year of college. There were players in the league that came out and said, I'm not going to play against him.
Oh, yeah.
Because that was the time.
Karl Malone was the biggest one. Yeah.
Yeah. We didn't really understand how AIDS could be contracted. There was a lot of misinformation then. You know, you could kiss somebody, you could do this and do that, and you touch somebody, and it wasn't the case. But we were all ignorant to the true facts of HIV and how it could be spread. So you had a lot of players, so especially Karl Malone, saying, I don't want to play against them. And people's mad, like, man, why are you going to be like that? But that's what we knew at the time. That's what we knew. So now fast forward, now we have another virus. So I wouldn't be surprised if I saw people come out, because now we have information about this virus.
Oh, yeah.
So now I wouldn't be surprised if you had. And you probably won't, because like I said, a lot of players are just trying to feed their family. But you may have something to come out and be like, look, we're not playing against Aaron when it's time for us to play him. He's a danger to our health.
Yeah.
We're not playing. So now what do you do? See, the NBA, their players have a bit more power, it seems to me, than the NFL. The NFL players, if you had the marquee players in the NFL stand up and do what LeBron and them did last year, it would go down way differently in the NFL.
See, the difference is the majority of NBA contracts are 98.9% of their contracts are guaranteed. So they're getting their money. NFL is totally different. We can cut you. We don't owe you nothing.
Yeah, their contracts are incentive based.
Yeah. So well, not really incentive based. It's we don't have to pay you based, because if we cut you, if you say something wrong, we cut you. We don't have to pay you.
Right.
So again, it's just a lot of those guys, especially now, the Devontae Adams or the Aaron Jones, those guys, I don't know why they wouldn't speak up, and they possibly are not vaccinated either. They may be staying with Aaron Rodgers. They may stand with him, and maybe that's why they're not saying anything. But
it's not about Rodgers not taking it. It's about him lying. That's the difference.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. It's just, and it's like you said, it's just funny how there's no I mean, people are upset and about him lying, but I don't see it, especially like the Stephen A. Smiths of the world who basically just crucified, like you said, Kyrie, and just okay, I'm mad Aaron Rodgers lied, but there's no vitriol. Jay Williams called Stephen A. Smith out on his show last week about where's all this vitriol? Why you don't have the same vitriol for Aaron Rodgers the way you had for Kyrie? And he went to the actual quotes that Stephen A. said about Kyrie, and how stupid he was, and this, that, and the third. But for Aaron Rodgers, he lied, but it's okay. So I mean, it's just it boggles my mind to see certain guys treat certain players certain ways out of different sports. So you're gonna, like I said, crucify Kyrie, but not Aaron Rodgers. He did a bad thing, but it'll be okay. It'll be all right. But still, Aaron Rodgers is dead wrong.
He is, man. And I hate that we're always held to a higher standard. We as black athletes, people, period, we're always held to a higher standard for the same offense than our white counterparts.
And it's just and I know the people that he threw. I know Joe Rogan was like, "Whoa, bro, what? Hold on, why you throwing me in it? What I got to do with it?"
Because like I told you, I seen the interview with Joe Rogan and Sanjay Gupta. Joe Rogan admitted that he should have taken the vaccine, and that he's telling people to take the vaccine.
And what's so funny, if you watch the interview he had, Aaron Rodgers, I'm speaking of, with Pat McAfee the other day, when he brought up Joe Rogan as one of the people that he looked to for advice, Pat McAfee, and I can't remember the other guy. He was a linebacker for the Packers. I can't remember what his name is, but they almost busted out laughing when he mentioned Joe Rogan. I mean, Pat McAfee literally covered up his mouth to not laugh in Aaron Rodgers' face, because that's how stupid he sounded. Bruh, you're taking horse dewormer. What are you doing?
That's for an animal who has worms, and you're taking that for a virus. Last I checked, the COVID is a virus. It's not a dewormer.
It's amazing. But yeah, Aaron Rodgers is dead wrong, and he actually lost one of his sponsors yesterday.
I hope it was State Farm.
No, it wasn't State Farm. Actually, it was some medical Privia. I think it was Privia, something to that effect. Some medical.
All of this access of knowledge at his fingertips, and he's got a sponsor who's privy, whoever it was. He could have easily reached out to them like, "Look, give me the details on this virus thing."
Yeah, and he was a sponsor for them since 2012, so they have a very good relationship until
they did.
Yeah, they did until he cut the fool the other day on the Pat McAfee show, and they were like, "We can't even do this." Now you are a partner with.
Break it down, Pete. Slow it down. What now?
You are a partner with a medical team.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And you are okay.
Say it. Say it.
No. But now it's just I just don't understand. And State Farm Farm is really going to look. He may lose that. I'm not fumbling the bag over a vaccine, bro. For real,
bro.
And you've been vaccinated all your life. You had to go to school. You couldn't go to school. You couldn't go to college without being vaccinated.
Who was his What do you have? What do you call them when you have a celebrity and you have a spokesperson, a PA, not a PA,
PR,
a PR.
Yeah.
You need to fire your PR.
Relations.
Yeah, you need to fire your PR because they should have jumped out. Shut up. Don't say nothing.
But he's the type of guy that he thinks he's the smartest person in the room at all times. Any room he's in, he's the smartest person in the room. So when you have somebody that arrogant and like you said, that smoot,
yeah,
that aloof,
yeah,
who thinks he's better than everybody else,
shot himself in the foot,
and this. So I mean, nothing anybody was going to say to him was going to make him change his mind because I'm Aaron Rodgers and I'm better than you. That's his mindset. So
yeah,
you face the consequences of your actions. I mean, if you would have just came out and said, I'm not taking the vaccine, but I'm going to follow every protocol
that the NFL has.
That the NFL has, he'd have been cool.
Mm-hmm.
He'd have been cool. There's no issue. There's no issue because even in the interview with Pat McAfee, he goes into what good are masks? Why am I have to wear a mask in the facility? So he's one of those dudes.
So now this takes me back, and I know we don't have much time left, but now this takes me back to even Mike Vick's situation. So Mike Vick, his situation with the dogs, they crucified him. They tried him in court. They took everything away from that man, sent him to jail, the whole nine.
But look,
why is this any different? This is because
they were dogs. That's why it was different.
So I can potentially carry a virus and potentially spread it and potentially kill you, but don't mess with my dog.
Don't mess with my dogs. There you go. That's what it is. That's what we're dealing with. And I don't have nothing against dogs. They are what they are. I mean, I don't want one. But in the Michael Vick case, it was about the dogs. And if he would have went out here and was drunk driving and hit somebody and killed somebody, he would have got less vitriol for that than fighting those dogs, or giving a place to fight dogs. Because I don't know if he was there or not, but I know he gave those guys
what they needed
to fight the dogs. So again, but that's another story.
Yeah, that's another.
But yeah, Aaron Rodgers, you dead wrong, dog. I mean, take responsibility for your actions.
Be a man, bro.
There's a saying. It takes a lifetime to build your character, and I told my basketball team this Thursday. It takes a lifetime to build character. To build your character, it takes a lifetime.
That's right.
And me and Chad, we have great character in our community, and at our ages, we're still building onto our character. But it only takes seconds to destroy your character.
That's it.
It takes a lifetime to build it, but it only takes seconds to ruin your character. It took mere seconds for Aaron Rodgers to ruin his character, which to me, I mean, his character was on shaky ground anyway because of who he is and how he carries himself. But he just killed it in a matter of seconds. Your whole character.
All right. Well, great discussion on both topics today. Yeah. And I hope, people listening and watching kind of got something out of it and gave you something to think about. The double standards that consistently take place in our lives and in this country, possibly over the world as well. But I digress. All right, let's move on to the Black Inventor. This is pretty cool. The brother's name is Gerald Anderson Lawson. He went by the name Jerry. He was born in Brooklyn, New York, grew up in Queens. Both of his parents were blue collar workers, but his dad had a passion and was a voracious reader of science books. Lawson's mom was a city employee and also president of the PTA. Lawson pursued a number of scientific interests, ham, radio, and chemistry among them. As a teenager, he earned money repairing television sets. So during the 60s, he went to college, City College of New York and Queens College as well. He received his degree and had an interest in computers, which led him to Silicon Valley back in the 70s, working with the Homebrew Computer Club, where he and a guy named Ron Jones were the only black members at that time. So with the club, they crossed paths with the Apple computer founders Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak. And it was during this period that Lawson invented an early coin-operated arcade game called Demolition Derby. So in 76, Lawson went to work for a computer firm called Fairchild Semiconductor. And the technology for creating consoles for home use was then in the infancy stages, right? Mm-hmm. So Dawson eventually helped to develop the Fairchild Channel F, as in Frank, which allowed users to insert different cartridges that stored new games. Dawson's innovation allowed people to play a variety of games in their homes and paved the way for much more elaborate systems such as the Atari 2600. Pete, you and I both know about that.
Yes, sir.
The Nintendo, the Xbox, and the PlayStation. Through basic by today's even though it's basic by today's standards, Lawson's breakthrough idea created the business model for computer games that remain intact in today's multi-billion-dollar computer game industry. Mm-hmm. So eventually he left the Fairchild company and created his own video game company called Videosoft, which produced games for manufacturers, including Atari. As the processing power of game consoles increased, he found himself disapproving of the emphasis on violence that began to replace the innocent, blocky graphics of his era. So despite expectations of success in the emerging computer game market, Videosoft created only one cartridge, Color Bar Generator, which was designed to calibrate, television color, as well as to adjust the vertical and horizontal picture hold on television sets. With that one cartridge, Lawson and Videosoft never reaped huge profits from the industry that he helped to create. So he basically, got out of the game because he wanted to create more, people-friendly games, and the games were moving more towards violence and things of that nature. So it never really took off like he had hoped, how he had hoped it would. He later died at 70 years of age in California due to complications with diabetes. But a true gaming innovator, Gerald Anderson Lawson, Jerry. So that's our black inventor for today. So Pete, what's good with the book of the week?
The book of the week is called Natives: A Race and Class in the Ruins of Empire by author/rapper Kayla. And I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. This book is was published in 2018, and it's part of the historical context of racism and class in Britain. And he starts from beginning to end as far as it comes when it comes to race and class in the British colony. And he also has a few videos on YouTube that you can also look up. Again, the book of the week is called Natives: Race and Class in the Ruins of Empire by an author/rapper named Akala. Akala is how you spell his name.
Yeah, that brother's very well read, very educated, and there's a video of him out on, well, that's several, but there's one particular one. I think he was lecturing at Cambridge or Oxford or whatever for about an hour, and I think that's the one I sent you, Pete, where he broke down, the origins of, the origins of Africa, and and destroying the myth that, the first great civilization or anything of advanced knowledge did not come out of Africa or whatever. He completely and thoroughly destroyed that myth with actual documents and proof from not only, researchers of our hue, but also of white people,
Mm-hmm.
researchers and scholars who
Right.
have basically documented and researched and were brave enough and bold enough to present the truth as it
Mm-hmm.
is.
Right.
You know what I mean? So kudos to that brother for doing what he does, and I definitely want to look into getting that book. So
Mm-hmm.
there was one other book that he mentioned by two white scholars. I forgot their names, but it's called I think the Black Genesis. I think that's what it is. I'll have to find it.
Mm-hmm.
But he references a couple other books during that lecture, and really, really deep brother, well read,
Right.
very well educated.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm glad you shouted him out. That's a must have. Um, but now we'll move on to the Bible quote of the week, and I am going to go with. Let me see. I think this is well suited. Isaiah chapter 40 verse 29. It's very short and sweet, but it's a lot for a lot of those who are believers. Isaiah chapter 40 verse 29. He gives strength to the weary and increases the power of the weak. And I feel like that's a timely verse because especially with COVID going on right now,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of pain and hurt uh, everywhere, not just in our communities, but everywhere, because it's taking people left and right. I can't tell you how many deaths we've had in our family, my wife's side especially, due to COVID. And we when we go through death, regardless of what it's from,
Mm-hmm.
you always seek strength and power to to get through,
Mm-hmm.
to endure, and to get through, and to persevere.
Right.
And so I just felt like that was real timely. He gives strength to the weary and increases the power of the weak. So to my believers out there, and people that believe in a higher power, just continue to meditate and pray and know and understand that you're not going through it alone, and that he will give you strength. He will give you power to endure, to persevere, and to keep moving. Um, the ones, our loved ones who have passed, I'm sure that's what any and all of them would want for us, is to keep
Mm-hmm.
moving and keep enduring. And like you said at the end of every podcast, Pete, just continue to love on each other. See about
That's
each
it.
other, love on each other, because at the end of the day, that's what we're about. We're
That's right.
about love,
Mm-hmm.
just love. So Isaiah chapter 40 verse 29. That's your verse for the week. And so, Pete, any last words before I give my quote?
Yeah, I mean, again, brother, like you just mentioned, I mean, love your people, man. Protect your people at all times. Be careful about your surroundings because we're in a real tough time right now. So, love your folk, love your people, man. Hug on them, love on them, and protect yourself, man. Protect yourself.
Indeed. And never forget that intelligence rules the world and ignorance carries the burden. So therefore, remove yourself as far as possible from ignorance and seek as far as possible to be intelligent. Marcus Garvey. All right, folks, that's it. Thank you for listening to another edition and watching another edition of Our Voice 360, our perspectives, our ways. Take care, be blessed, and we're out.
Peace.